Suspense is compounded of mystery and intrigue and dangerous adventure. Stories calculated to intrigue you, to stir your nerves. Tonight, for instance, as we begin, you may want to ask yourself, how could a young lady, a bride, walk out on a balcony alone and vanish? Completely vanish. We trust that while you are wondering how and why it was done, we shall keep you in suspense. Italy in springtime. Italy as we used to know it before the jackal struck. And the island of Capri, 20 miles out across the Bay of Naples. Blue water a-dazzle under the sun. Behind you the bone-white beaches, and Vesuvius dull purple in a heat haze. Ahead, as the little steamer from Naples chugs out across the bay, rises Capri. Olive trees and white roads, and vineyards above the cliffs. Could young Americans find a better place to spend their honeymoon? While the guitars sing, and the warm winds blow, and the little steamer carries them.
Well, Mrs. Courtney?
Well, Mr. Courtney.
I can't keep it up, Lucy. I'm going to break down and ask if you're happy.
Oh, I'll break down, too. I want to walk up to everybody I meet and say, "Whee," just like that.
What I want to do is turn somersaults myself, all along this deck here.
I want to say, I've been married to Tom Courtney for practically 2 weeks. And now we're going to have a villa at Capri for a month. Oh, Tom, I ought to be the happiest woman in the world. Only...
What? You shivered. What's wrong?
Well, ever since we got aboard this ship, people have been staring at me.
I can't blame them for that, dear.
No, I mean in a funny way, and muttering. Even your American friend, what's his name?
Granger?
Mr. Granger. When you introduced him to me at Naples, I thought his eyes were going to pop out.
Be careful, he's standing over by the rail now.
Oh.
He lives at Capri.
I like to see him wearing that white 10-gallon hat in Italy.
Before Granger made money in oil wells, he was a real old-fashioned cowpuncher. And he's proud of it. Good fellow, too.
He's too polite to say anything, but he keeps looking around at me, just the same as the rest of them do.
Well?
Well, Tom, they look scared.
You know, Lucy, this isn't the time to start imagining things.
I know. Well, maybe I'm just so happy I'm afraid it can't last.
Oh, don't say that.
But wouldn't it be pretty awful if something did happen and we weren't together any longer?
Wait a minute. Hasn't this ship stopped?
Yes. Well, it is Capri ahead of us, isn't it?
It can't be anything else. Well, it seems a funny place to stop. No sign of a harbor. Only rocks and little gray cliffs. Oh, Mr. Granger. Mr. Granger?
Yes, young fella?
Do you happen to know why we're stopping here?
Well, yes, that's amazing, my son. We're stopping so that you and your good lady and anybody else who's curious can get a look at the Blue Grotto.
The Blue Grotto, of course.
Now, just shade your eyes with your hand, ma'am. You see that tiny little arch under the cliff?
Yes.
And all the little white rowboats are coming out towards us?
Yes.
Now, when the first boat comes alongside, you climb down that iron ladder and get in. The boatman will row you out and through the arch into the grotto. It's a great, big, dark cavern. The water in there looks as though it's lit up underneath with blue fire.
Like to go out and see it, Lucy?
Oh, I'd love to.
Let me give you a little tip, though. The current's pretty fast out there. You'll go shooting under that arch like 60.
Are we likely to upset?
Oh, no, but the arch isn't as high as your head. When you see it coming, lie back flat in the boat. That is, unless you want your block knocked off.
Well, thanks, Mr. Granger. We'll remember. Come along, Lucy. Easy on the ladder, Lucy. Don't look round yet.
Oh, I'm all right, darling. And just as good a swimmer as you are.
I'm in the boat now. Take one more step. Steady. Yeah. There you are. Now turn around facing the boatman and sit down here beside me.
What's the matter with the boatman?
Easy, man. Do you want to upset us? Sit down.
You come back, yes?
Come back? Well, I've never been here before in my life.
Push off, man. Start rowing. The other boats are piling up behind you.
You come back.
Start rowing, can't you? Andare subito. Basta.
Tom, he can't take his eyes off us.
I wish he'd watch out where he's rowing.
You come to live at the Villa Borghese, yes?
Tom, how does he know that?
He's the lady. She is not dead.
Dead? Of course she's not dead. What are you talking about?
She never come to Capri before?
Never.
Then I tell you, she will disappear, just like the other one.
Disappear?
I rest my orders, and I tell you.
Tom, aren't we moving rather fast?
Yes, that's the entrance to the grotto ahead.
I tell you, there was a lady so much like your own, carpeting back. Oh, it scared me.
Now, look, old man, I don't want to teach you your business, but you've got your back to that grotto.
Take a decent lady back where she come from. Do not take her to the Villa Borghese.
Down, Lucy. Flat on your back. Down!
Signore, I am sorry. I almost make you get hurt.
You know you nearly got your own head knocked off.
Excuse me, no. I am used to it. Now, I will row you round the Blue Grotto.
I don't think I like it much, Tom.
Neither do I.
Dark. Except for that blue light under the water. It's transparent. You can see the fishes swimming.
Just a minute, boatman. This lady who disappeared from the Villa Borghese.
3 years ago, she disappeared.
You say she looked exactly like my wife?
Si, signore. She was going to be married. She was trying on her wedding dress. Her mother and sisters, they were in the room with her. She walked out on a balcony over the sea. You know what I mean, on a balcony over the sea? And nobody ever heard of her again.
You mean she jumped over into the sea?
Or a young girl going to be married. Kill herself? No.
And what did happen?
Over the backer, I do not know. But sometimes they say you can meet her ghost in the air. She floats just under the water where you can see her and turn over and over. And the wedding veil is still round her face.
Tom, let's get out of here.
You want to go, yes?
Lucy, if this fellow's stringing us along...
He's not stringing us along.
Then somebody ought to know what this means. If we've inherited a haunted balcony where people disappear like soap bubbles, I say it's too much. Let's get back to our ship and talk to Granger. Yes, boatman, take us back.
Mr. Granger! Mr. Granger!
I'm aboard, ma'am.
Oh.
You too, young fellow. See if we start to have a second. Yeah, give me a hand, Lucy.
Thanks, dear. Oh, didn't anybody else go to the Blue Grotto?
Well, ma'am, no. Not after they saw you go.
It's all right. We've just heard the story, Mr. Granger.
Oh, I ought to have told you about it myself. All the way out here, I've been cussing myself and thinking what an ornery old badger I am for not telling you when I first met you in Naples.
The girl did vanish then.
By a first-rate miracle, yes. In broad daylight and within 20 feet of her mother and sisters.
You don't look like a man who'd believe in miracles, Mr. Granger.
Oh, I'm not, son. I'm just telling you what happened.
But why is everybody so excited? Somebody must have thrown her off the balcony.
Josephine Adams was all alone on a balcony 40 feet up a cliff, smooth as glass. She didn't fall, she wasn't thrown because there was no sound of a splash, and she didn't come back from the balcony because her mother and sisters were in front of the only door. Yet, within 15 seconds, 15 seconds, mind you, she just vanished.
You believe that?
Sure, I believe it, son. Why, it's a fact.
Did you know the girl's family?
Oh, very well. We've got a real English-speaking colony here. Oh, by the way, in about half a minute now, I'm going to show you your new home.
Oh, can we see it here on the ship?
Oh, sure you can, ma'am. It's on the edge of the cliff. Dr. Davis's house is on one side of it, and my shack's on the other. That's why I want to ask you a question.
Of course. Ask anything you like.
Well, I'm an old stager, ma'am, and not exactly up to the high-toned society around here, but do you trust me?
Yes, I think so.
Well, then, promise me something. Unless you're with somebody you do trust, keep away from that balcony.
Do you honestly think there's danger? Or...
I don't know, son. If I did, I wouldn't have to talk this way.
Sounds like a dog barking. I thought I heard it before.
What is? A big police dog. And led by a very handsome woman, if you ask me.
Oh, Lord, here she is again. Who? The Countess. She lives in our colony.
She looks like an American. You take your eyes off her, Tom Courtney.
She is an American. Married a Count Parcheesi or something like that. Just call her Nellie.
My dear Mr. Granger.
Hello, Nellie.
It's true. Everybody told me so, but I couldn't believe it until I saw her. She does look exactly like poor Josephine Adams. Just as small, just as dainty. Please, is everybody trying to give me the jitters?
Nellie, I want you to meet some friends of mine.
Oh, you don't need to introduce me. I know who they are. You're the nice young couple who've taken that villa. I'm Nellie Lucchese. Oh, yes. And this is my dog, Tiberius, named after the wicked Roman emperor. You know who used to live at Capri? I must confess I'm terribly fascinated by wicked things. Aren't you, Mr. Courtney?
Lucy, stop digging me in the ribs. I haven't done anything.
No, and you're not going to. Tiberius seems to have taken quite a fancy to you, Mrs. Courtney. Oh. I've never known him to go to a stranger before. Well, I only wish I could borrow him. He might be a charm against... Oh, no, I don't know. We'll be at the harbor in a few minutes. Then you must let me drive you up to the villa. You won't be able to get any servants, I'm afraid, because they won't stay there. But you can camp out. Look, there's the villa. We're passing it now. Where? On the cliff, where I'm pointing.
Wait a minute. Well, there must be some mistake. That's not the Villa Borghese.
It sure is, son.
That's a palace like all the other houses there. And I rented it furnished for about $25 a month.
Can't you guess why you got it so cheap, son? If you take my advice, you'll turn around and go back to Naples by the next steamer.
Harry Granger, don't be an idiot. Let's have some excitement. Tom, it's beautiful.
Too infernally beautiful, if you ask me.
There's the balcony.
It's all right by daylight, son. Marble and tapestries and whatnot. But at night, when you gotta put out the lights, you start thinking what happened there.
The moon over Capri makes a deathly daylight. You could see to read on that balcony, if anyone went out there. Frosted glass doors open out on it from a big room on the ground floor. Two determinedly calm persons and a dog sit looking at each other.
Lucy, stop it.
Stop what?
Stop looking over at that balcony.
I'm sorry, darling.
Why are we sitting here anyway? There's an outer room that's much more comfortable.
It's like having a toothache. A very little toothache.
I may be dense, Angel, but I don't follow you.
You put your tongue against the tooth to see if it'll hurt. You know it will hurt, but you go on doing it just the same. Well, that's us.
Maybe you're right.
Oh, Tom, did you ever think we'd have a lovely house like this?
Yeah, the house is all right, yes. Then they have to go and spoil everything. Our honeymoon. With this blasted Tommy roundabout.
Tom, you're as jittery now as I was this afternoon. Oh, even Tiberius is jittery.
Yes, I guess I am. Easy, boy. Easy.
Well, there's whiskey on the table.
In a minute. Not just now. There's nothing wrong with that balcony. Suppose you walked out there this minute.
I've had a horrible longing to try it. Just because I know I shouldn't.
Well, nothing could attack you. All you'd have to do would be to yell. That'd bring Mr. Granger out on his balcony like a shot. And the neighbor on the other side of us... Who is on the other side, by the way?
A specialist in brain diseases. Dr. Davis. He's English.
Easy, Tiberius. Easy.
Tom, I'm afraid.
It's all right, darling. You hold Tiberius's collar while I open the door.
Good evening, Mr. Courtney. Good evening, Mrs. Courtney. I'm no ghost. I'm merely your neighbor, Dr. Rutherford Davis.
Yes, of course.
I trust you will pardon this intrusion. No one answered my knock, so I I ventured to come in.
It's no intrusion, Dr. Davis.
Mr. Courtney, I wish I could say welcome to Capri, but I have a very different message.
Well?
If you value Mrs. Courtney's life, you'll go back to Naples immediately, sir.
Not you, too.
I do not say that as a ghost hunter, sir. I say it as a medical man. May I sit down?
Oh, of course. Please do.
Oh, thank you.
We seem to be forgetting our manners. Dr. Davis, will you have a drink?
Oh, thank you. Perhaps a small whiskey?
I'll get it, darling. You sit down and talk to Dr. Davis.
You're not going back into that room alone.
I'm only going to get the drinks, Tom. I promise to be good. And Tiberius can come with me. Can't you, Tiberius?
Oh, I see you've borrowed Tiberius from the Countess Lucchese.
Yes, she was kind enough to offer him. Excuse me, I'll be back in a minute. Come on, Tiberius.
I hope this is all right, Doctor.
No, sir. It is not all right. Your wife is in very great danger.
But why? Because of that balcony?
No. Because she looks exactly like the late Josephine Adams.
I don't get it.
Mr. Courtney, did you ever hear of paranoia?
It's some kind of mental disease, isn't it?
The paranoic begins by imagining that he or she is being persecuted by someone. First, he hears things. A voice in his brain whispers, "You'll be killed. You'll be killed. You'll be killed." He hears it in the tick of a clock, in the rattle of a train, in the footsteps on the street. There are holes in the walls through which his enemy is always watching. Invisible speaking tubes bring him messages. There are pains in his joints and nightmares of attempts to poison him. His brain bursts and he kills. He kills. He kills. Well, excuse me for speaking so strongly.
But how does this affect us?
Mr. Courtney, will you examine this sheet of paper?
What is it?
The fragment of a typewritten diary. I found it on the cliffs months ago. Don't ask me who wrote it. But I know there's a criminal lunatic on this island. He imagined that poor, inoffensive Josephine Adams was his enemy. So he killed her.
Killed her? How?
I don't know.
And what happened to the girl's body?
I'm not a detective, sir. The body was carried out to sea, perhaps, or washed along the cliffs and into the Blue Grotto to be lost. But don't you understand the danger to your wife?
You're not suggesting that
to somebody's cracked brain, your wife is Josephine Adams, created all over again.
Kill Lucy? It couldn't be done.
It was done, my friend. Listen.
That sounded like a dog howling.
Mrs. Courtney is rather a long time in getting that whiskey.
She wouldn't go near the balcony. She promised not to go out on the balcony.
People do very perverse things, my friend, when they know they shouldn't.
Lucy! Lucy!
That seems to be Tiberius out on the balcony. I can't see anything else from here.
She's gone. She's gone. She's gone.
An empty balcony, a howling dog, and a sea turned clear silver under the moon. Then, after the tumult and the shouting, there are other pictures. Don't you hear the noise of that motor launch, with a half-demented young man at the wheel? 3 other familiar figures are gathered around it. Don't you recognize the brunette prettiness of Nellie Lucchese? The white 10-gallon hat of Harry Granger? And the neat, pointed beard of Dr. Davis?
But what on earth is he going to do out here in this motorboat?
I'd like to know that one myself.
Listen, please. All of you.
Now, take it easy, son. We're with you.
What time is it?
Time?
Yes. What time is it?
2:30 in the morning, going on for 3.
12 hours. Then the tide ought to be just where it was this afternoon.
What's the tide got to do with it?
A whole lot. Somebody set a trap and made Lucy fall off that balcony. I know it.
Oh, that's absurd.
If Lucy's been carried out to sea, there's nothing we can do about it. But if she's been carried along with the current and into the Blue Grotto...
Blue Grotto?
One moment, sir. You're not proposing to run this big launch under that arch after dark?
Yes, Doctor. That's just exactly it.
Go on. Do it. I'll back you up. Let's have some excitement.
It'll be exciting enough, I assure you. Mr. Courtney, have you got some wild hope of recovering your wife's body?
I've even got a wild hope she may be alive. Lucy's a very strong swimmer.
You're acting like a nut, son.
Get set, everybody. I'm going to swing around.
We're in the current now. Better hold tight.
I've got to duck my own head when we go through. Everybody else squat down.
I still protest against this. Don't you understand, Mr. Courtney?
Get ready. Here we go.
What on earth is wrong? There's no Blue Grotto. It's as black as pitch.
My dear Nellie, I kept trying to tell all of you. The Blue Grotto effect is caused by the sun's rays. There never is one except when the sun is out. Just how does our friend propose to find anything in here? Listen.
Something got hold of the side of the boat. I felt it move.
Not the dead girl, I trust.
There's a hand here. A wet hand. Lucy.
She's not alive.
Mr. Granger, help me lift her up over the side. Easy now. Don't tip the boat. Oh, Lucy. Lucy, are you all right?
Tom.
Are you all right, Lucy? Can you hear me?
All right. Just exhausted. I got in here. Couldn't swim out against the current.
Oh, don't try to talk.
I've got to talk. Going to faint. Tom, who's with you?
Only our friends.
Who's with you? Is the murderer with you?
I was just wondering the same thing. To be shut up in the dark at 3 o'clock in the morning with a criminal lunatic.
Who spoke then?
Now, Lucy, don't hold me so tight. Let go, dear. I'll get the boat started and have you out of here in a second.
Who spoke then?
Only Dr. Davis.
Tom, I've got to tell you. I know how that girl, Josephine Adams, died. Almost killed me.
Has anybody here got some brandy? Or a flashlight?
I have a flashlight, my friend. Will you allow me, as a medical man, to examine Mrs. Courtney?
You better keep back for just a second, Doctor. She's hysterical. Give me the flashlight, please.
I walked into the other room. Nobody with me. All alone except Tiberius.
Yes, Lucy.
Somebody called my name. From the balcony, I thought. Very softly. Mrs. Courtney said. Mrs. Courtney.
Did you recognize the voice?
Yes. That's why I went.
Hadn't you better start up this boat and get out of here?
Now, don't pay any attention to them, Lucy. Nobody can hurt you now.
I went out on the balcony. The bright moonlight. Brightest day. But there was nobody there.
Nobody on the balcony?
No. I looked out over the sea. And then something came at me. Something flew out of the air and came at me.
Just one moment before Mrs. Courtney goes on. Is anybody in this boat carrying a revolver?
Not that I know of.
Excuse my mentioning it, but I felt something. Metal. Like a revolver. Brush past my hand.
Oh, it was only the flashlight.
Excuse me, it was not a flashlight. Mr. Courtney's got the flashlight.
Would you please let Lucy go on and finish? Lucy, you were on the balcony and something came at you.
Yes. Like a snake. Sideways. Out of the air. It went over my head. Fastened around my neck. It was a rope. With a running noose in it.
A rope?
That's it. A rope. It was thrown from another balcony. I'm small and light, like Josephine Adams. But it pulled me sideways and over the rail. I fell.
I think I begin to understand
They couldn't see what happened to Josephine Adams. Frosted glass doors to the balcony, so they couldn't see.
Now, take it easy now. You're perfectly safe.
Is she perfectly safe?
The murderer let her fall on the rope. But the rope was jerked tight long before she struck the water. That broke her neck. Then the murderer lowered her softly.
So there wasn't any splash. And the current took her away, rope and all.
That's it. It would have happened to me. Only the rope must have slipped through the murderer's fingers.
Through whose fingers?
What did I tell you? Somebody in this boat has got a revolver.
Who's overboard? Somebody went.
Switch on that light, my friend, and shine it on the water.
All right, Doctor. There's your light.
Look at it. Turning over and over.
The water in the blue grotto is red now.
Tom, stay close to me.
Oh, it's all right, Lucy. I swear you're safe enough now.
Did he shoot himself?
Yes.
Did who shoot himself?
Who had a balcony exactly like ours on the house next door? Who began life as a cowpuncher and would have known how to use a lasso?
Yes, and knew Josephine Adams well, and got it into his maniac's head that Mrs. Courtney was Josephine Adams all over again.
Harry Granger. Look. There's his 10-gallon hat floating away.
And so ends The Bride Vanishes, a story of mysterious doings.
Suspense. Tonight, Columbia brings you, as a guest star, Peter Lorre, one of the screen's past masters of the art of suspense. Suspense is compounded of mystery and intrigue and dangerous adventure. In this series are stories calculated to intrigue you, to stir your nerves, to offer you a precarious situation, and then withhold the solution until the last possible moment. Tonight, for instance, Mr. Lorre plays for us a doctor, a husband, with something dark and terrible on his mind. Was it murder? And if so, can this at last be the really perfect crime? We trust that while you are wondering, we shall keep you in suspense.
For Suspense tonight, CBS presents Till Death Do Us Part by John Dixon Carr, starring Peter Lorre.
Late one night in December of 1941, a man and his wife sat beside the fire in their country cottage. This man, look at him. A professor of mathematics, stout and middle-aged, guileless as a child. In the remote corner of England where he lives with his pretty English wife, they say of him...
Jolly decent fellow, you know, for a foreigner.
Isn't he? Always a smile for everybody, and so polite. That's why it's such a shame about his wife and that young American. There hasn't been anything between them yet, I'm almost sure. But if the American stays here much longer...
I tell you.
A happy man, this Professor Kraft. His cottage in the country is rather isolated. 3 miles from the nearest house. No electricity or central heating or telephone. And on December nights like this, a great wind comes rushing off the Sussex Downs. It rattles at the windows, growls in the chimney, and makes unsteady the oil lamp on the table.
Professor Irwin Kraft sits before the fire in a snug book-lined room. And across from him, sewing, sits his young wife, Cynthia. A domestic scene. A very domestic scene.
Oh, my pet, this is wonderful, isn't it? Oh, so nice and cozy. How I enjoy our little home. It's a pleasure to be indoors on a night like this, isn't it?
Yes.
Did my darling have a good day?
Just about as usual.
No adventures, huh?
Not exactly. I walked into the village.
Walked? Oh, I really blame myself for burying you out here. I ought to get your car.
That's not necessary, thanks.
Come now, come. Did something happen to upset my little pet today?
No.
You know, darling, I look at you and I marvel.
You marvel at what?
At a wife who can actually blush. Yes, with a skin so fair and a conscience so transparent that she can actually blush.
I wasn't blushing about
About what?
anything you might be thinking. It's your horrible habit of putting everybody else in the wrong.
Oh, but the neighbors don't think that about Papa Croft.
The neighbors don't have to live with you. I do.
And you mustn't scratch either. Not when we are so snug here, so cozy, and the kettle on the fire is nearly boiling, and the rum is ready, and the lemon juice, and the sugar for her medicine.
Oh, and must I drink that stuff? I don't like rum.
But you have a cold, darling.
I haven't got a cold. Really, I haven't.
Now, darling, twice today I heard you cough. You are going to take your medicine, Cynthia, and take it here and now, and not offend your clumsy old husband by refusing.
Why do you keep on treating me like a girl of 16?
I love to treat you like that, Cynthia, because I cannot fathom your thoughts. You lock up your thoughts, and that is a dangerous English habit. You see, thoughts accumulate and won't be stifled. And sooner or later, when you least expect it...
Oh, look out. The kettle's boiling over.
So it is.
Oh, and please, lift it down from there.
Of course. I apologize, my darling. There.
For a second, you know, you almost frightened me.
Huh? I frightened you?
I suppose it's foolish.
Well, here we are, my dear. Here we are. Now, see, I put 2 tumblers on the coffee table. And now, a spoon in each, so that the heat doesn't crack them.
Oh, dear, must you give me so much rum? Can't I have the small one?
But we have to cure that cold of yours, Cynthia. Now comes the lemon juice. Yes. And now comes hot water to the top. Here we are. And 2 lumps of sugar for each of us. There you are, darling. Now let's drink up, huh?
Owen, listen.
I didn't hear anything.
I did. It came from that cupboard over there. It sounded like your accordion.
Oh, that's nonsense, darling. That's nonsense.
There it is again.
Well, that's only the wind. Or perhaps a rat that got into the cupboard.
Owen, I'm terrified of rats. Go and kill it. Would you mind?
Oh, you really sit very heavy labors, my sweet, for one of my weight. Well, if you insist, all right. Well, I'll take a good heavy poker from the fireplace. And, of course, it means a little trip through the cupboard.
Owen, never mind.
You haven't changed your mind, have you?
It'd probably run out across the floor. Come back.
Wouldn't run very far, I'm sure. Well, again, if you insist.
I can't think what's the matter with me tonight.
No?
No,
You're sure nothing upset you in the village today, huh?
certainly not.
How about this young American, that fledgling doctor, what's his name?
You mean Dr. Craig?
That's it, Dr. Craig. Dr. Craig. Didn't someone say he was leaving today for London and then back to the States?
I believe so. That's what Lady Randolph told me.
And you didn't say goodbye to him?
Certainly not.
Wow, that wasn't kind of you, darling. That wasn't friendly. What's the matter? Don't you like my nice hot rum drink?
No. But you'll give me no peace till I do drink it.
That's right, darling. That's right. Now, take it down like a good girl. I'm keeping you company. See? Oh, how pretty she looks. With her yellow hair in the firelight. And her red mouth. And her light little hands. Very pretty. Oh, there's just one other thing, Cynthia. I gave you a letter to post this afternoon. Did you post it?
Yes.
Registered?
Yes.
And did you notice to whom the letter was addressed?
Everybody notices the address on an envelope. It was to some Mr. Hatterby at Market Shepherd.
That's right.
But I don't know who he is, if that's what you mean.
Oh, Mr. Hatterby is the coroner of this district.
The coroner?
That's right. That's right.
But is there any reason why you should be writing letters to the coroner?
Well, there will be tomorrow morning. We have been just drinking poison, my love. Why do you drop your glass on me?
I don't believe you.
No? This will interest you, Cynthia. You were a trained nurse, and weren't you, You see, the poison was aconite, monk's shoes.
No.
Yes, homegrown in our own little garden. You know, 1/16th of a grain has been a fatal dose.
There's no telephone here. No car, not even a neighbor.
Exactly, my angel.
Take your hands off me. Let me get up.
No, my pet. In about 5 minutes, you see, the first symptoms will come on.
Symptoms?
Yes. Our throats will grow dry. Our eyesight will turn dim.
No.
And presently we'll lose the use of our limbs. Well, there are convulsions before the end, I believe, but you won't feel them.
Let me up.
If you try to hit at me, Angel, you'll upset that lamp. And, well, if you upset the lamp, this cottage would go up like tinder. We don't want to burn to death, do we?
Owen, why are you doing this? Why are you doing it?
Why? Do you think all Papa Kraft is blind, my pet? Huh? If I can't have you, Cynthia, nobody else is going to have you.
You mean Jim Craig?
So it is Jim Craig.
Oh, that was nothing. My tongue slipped.
A cynic would say, my dear, that your foot slipped. Do you think I don't know what happened the other night at the schoolhouse?
Schoolhouse?
Yes, the Market Shepherd Schoolhouse. At Lady Randolph's little concert in aid of the war relief.
Nothing happened. I swear it didn't.
No?
No.
Oh, then it was coincidence, I suppose, that you and that Dr. Craig didn't arrive until the concert was nearly over.
Yes. Yes, it was. We didn't go there together.
No?
We met in the little hall outside the auditorium. It was just as you were finishing your number on the accordion.
Oh, I beg your pardon. It's so dark here I almost bumped into you. Isn't that Mrs. Kraft?
Yes. Good evening, Dr. Craig.
We seem to be late.
Very late, I'm afraid.
I was detained on a case.
I didn't feel like coming here at all.
Oh, just a moment before I open that door for you. Won't it look a little funny, our arriving here together?
Funny? Why should it?
No reason at all, only... Cynthia, listen to me.
You know, Dr. Craig, that's the first time you ever called me by my first name.
I did want to have a word with you somehow. Of course, you've heard the news.
What news?
On the radio for the past couple of days.
Oh, we're too far out to get much news, and my husband isn't interested.
He isn't interested? He isn't interested in anything but himself.
I'd rather you didn't talk that way about my husband.
I'm sorry.
Would you push the door open a little? Lady Randolph is saying something.
I'm sure we've all enjoyed our friend Professor Kraft's musical numbers on the accordion. And the vicar's conjuring trick. And little Miss Linshaw's spirited recitations. It only remains for me to tell you that the collection for this little entertainment will amount to the... Yes, Colonel Thompson, what is it?
Colonel Thompson's going across the platform in rather a hurry. Looks like an announcement of some kind.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention. We have just received some late news by the 9 o'clock bulletin.
I think I can guess what it is.
Following yesterday's declaration against Japan, the Congress of the United States today declared war against Germany and Italy. No applause, please. I think I can say that these things go too deep for applause. We entered a war lightly, and we have learned. But before the vicar ends this meeting, I shall ask the orchestra to play us the song numbered 83 in the book. A song we know is dear to the hearts of all Americans.
Close the door, Cynthia.
Jim, this doesn't affect you.
Naturally it does.
You won't be leaving England.
Probably in a very short time. They'll be needing doctors.
But does a formal declaration of war make any difference? What does it mean to you? What does it mean?
I can't explain it, Cynthia. It's all in that song. If they're going to need me, I'll go back.
But can't you do just as much good here in England?
I don't know. That depends on what the army says.
And doesn't anything depend on what I say?
We haven't got much time, Cynthia. That crowd will be out in a minute.
Yes.
And we won't admit it, will we?
Admit what?
Admit how we feel about each other.
I haven't said...
Nor I. I was only talking about what we were thinking.
No, we won't admit it. You say you can't explain about the war. I can't explain about this.
Don't try. It's better this way.
Owen's being very good to me. He's such a childlike person.
Yes. Everybody likes him.
Oh, he has his tempers, and he's not easy to live with sometimes, in spite of what they think. But I can't do anything to hurt him, because he'd never do anything to hurt me. Never, never, never in the world.
A very fair estimate of my character, too.
That's exactly what I said about you.
So you are in love with that fellow?
I admit it now. Yes.
Tell me, darling, do you feel anything yet?
Feel anything?
I mean, dryness? Muscular contraction of the throat?
Yes.
Oh, I thought so.
I won't die. I won't.
And how do you propose to stop yourself? Your only chance would be to reach the village infirmary. And I'll see to it that you don't get there.
But what if the poison takes you before it takes me? Then you can't stop me.
But it won't, darling.
You seem terribly sure of that.
You see, the amount I gave you, as you perhaps noticed, was more than I gave myself. I'm going to follow you, my little pet, into the dark, where there are no Dr. Jim Craigs. But not too quickly. I shall still have most of my faculties, Cynthia, when your convulsions are already beginning. Oh.
I wonder if you will.
What is it,
Your legs don't seem any too steady.
I don't know. It must be the heat of the fire, perhaps, or it's very hot in this room. Cynthia, darling, listen to me.
Yes, Erwin?
There is a copy of Taylor's medical jurisprudence there, over on the shelf there. Please get it for me.
I'm afraid you'll have to get it for yourself, my dear. That is, if you can.
Oh, I'll get it.
Mind the lamp, Erwin. We don't want the house afire, just as you said yourself.
I'll mind the lamp. Listen to me. You know, some people's systems aren't tolerant to poisons. They experience in minutes what ought to take hours.
Does it hurt, Erwin? Does it hurt?
Yes. But you'll find out soon enough, my pet. Because you'll never make 3 miles to the village. Never.
You think not?
I know it. And just remember, I shall be waiting.
Waiting?
Out in the dark and cold, where there is neither marriage nor giving in marriage. I'll be waiting for my little pet to come and join me. I shall be waiting.
Owen. Owen. Oh. I hate you. I loathe you. I'm afraid of you. But I don't want you to die because of me. And yet, you are dead, Owen. But I'm not going to join you. I've never prayed much, Owen, but I'm praying now. Whatever comes over my wits and makes my senses weak, give me strength enough to get to the village. Just give me strength enough to get to the village.
An empty room now, except for the motionless figure by the fire. The great wind enters through an open front door and makes the lamp shake dangerously on the tables. The whole house creaks. Otherwise, it is very quiet. Suddenly, the corpse sits up. Professor Kraft looks pleased, doesn't he? Very pleased. Very alert as he moves over to a certain cupboard door.
Well, and now I think the real fun can begin. Patience, 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 my friend, while I open the cupboard door. Well, there we are. I hope you haven't been too uncomfortable, Dr. James Craig.
I'm all right, thanks.
So you managed to get the gag out of your mouth, huh?
I managed it, yes, just now. I'm too late.
Well, you are still securely tied up, I'm glad to say. You know, you gave me several very, very unpleasant moments, young man, when you got your foot on that accordion.
Did I?
Well, Cynthia thought you were a rat and wanted me to kill you. You know, she shows very good sense sometimes.
I could hear both of you talking. Thanks very much.
Oh, of course, you could, of course. Excuse me, please. I forgot that.
Yes, and I could see you, too, through a crack in the door.
Well, you were intended to see it. But now, come on. First of all, I'll drag you out of here. Yes, now, let me take you. Yes. Now we can sit down and have a nice, cozy little chat. Huh?
How much aconite did you give Cynthia?
How much? Oh, about 2 grains.
2 grains? Well, then she can't possibly...
No, she can't possibly live until morning. But she can live long enough to testify that she saw me die.
And how much poison did you take yourself?
I? None.
None at all?
No, none at all.
But you mixed those drinks out of the same materials. I saw you do it.
Well, but there was many poison in the rum, young man. You see, 2 lumps of sugar steeped in aconite were dropped into Cynthia's glass. I marked them, and I didn't make a mistake. Can you see the beginnings of Papa Kraft's plan?
Why, you...
You see, Cynthia left the door open, my friend. And there is a very strong wind blowing tonight.
Well?
Just observe how it lifts the table covers, flutters the magazines, makes the lamp tremble. I shouldn't be surprised, you know, if one of those lamps blew over. A fine crash and a sheet of flame. Huh? And when they come here tomorrow morning, after Cynthia's testimony and my letter to the coroner, they'll expect to find at least a few charred bones among the ruins. And of course they must find some remains.
Whose remains?
Yours.
Yes, you've got me tied up pretty well, haven't you?
And now, you see... now comes the best. You were last seen going towards the railway station, to London, and then to America. Nobody will inquire after you.
Except Cynthia.
That's right, except Cynthia, who will be dead. That I waylaid you and brought you here while Cynthia was in the village will not be known to our good coroner, and I shall disappear. What do you think of it, young man, huh? I think it's rather good, huh?
You're going to let me burn to death?
Yes, and I shall enjoy the necessity. By the way, too bad you missed my performance at Lady Randall's concert. It was very nice. But, then I think you were otherwise occupied.
You could call it that.
Occupied, I think, in making love to my wife. You hurt my vanity, young man, and you are going to suffer for it.
I never made love to your wife.
No?
No. But I don't suppose you could possibly believe that.
Are you already begging for mercy? Now, come on. Are you begging for mercy?
No, I think not.
Dr. Craig, I don't like the way you're taking this. I really don't.
Don't you?
No. You ought to be afraid. All decent men should be afraid. And no man is heroic when he sees death coming. But you're as white as a plate. Can't take your eyes off me. And seem to be expecting something.
Maybe I am expecting something.
You are? Well, I think I can persuade you to tell me what's on your mind, my friend. If I use the poker out of the fire, huh? You see, I'm a mathematician. I leave nothing to chance.
Do you hear that, Professor Kraft? A car has stopped out in front.
Well, they won't come in here.
But of course they will. It's probably the home guard. Look, you fool, you've left the front door standing wide open in a blackout.
Don't be childish. Do you think to upset me with that?
Something's upset you. Take a look at yourself in the mirror.
Huh? Nothing can upset my plans now. Everything is ready. My clothes and my money are in a stable. This place, this pretty little cottage, will be a furnace. All I have to do is pick up that lamp. You see, like this, and something is wrong with me.
You're not acting this time, are you? You're not pretending now.
You swine! What have you done to me?
I have done nothing.
You have done something to me. I can feel it. There is sweat all over me. My throat's choking.
This way, Lady Randall. Through the gate and up the path.
That sounded like my wife's voice.
It was Cynthia's voice.
What is wrong with you? A person who thinks you were drunk. I'm sorry, Lady Randall, stopping me in the road and asking to be taken to the infirmary at 80 miles an hour, and then finding there was nothing wrong with you.
Oh, but it can't be. It isn't possible.
Oh, but it is. You see, your plans didn't include the fact that Cynthia doesn't like rum. Remember, you poured a very large drink for her and a small one for yourself. And you filled both glasses with hot water. Oh, remember when she got you to leave her and come over to this cupboard? She changed the glasses then. You're the one who swallowed the poison, 2 grains of aconite.
No. Help me. Please. Help me.
Nothing on earth can save you.
Help me, please. In the name of pity, please. Please help me.
Nothing on earth can save you.
Please. No. You won't. Then I'll show you. I'll take you with me. I'll take everybody with me.
Where are you going?
I'll get that lamp. I'll take you with me.
Why, look at you. You can't even see. You're blind. You're staggering straight into that cupboard.
I'll take you. I'll take you with me. I'll take you.
Jim, doing here?
Come in, Cynthia. Come in and take a look at the man who died twice.
And so ends Till Death Do Us Part, starring Peter Lorre. Tonight's story of Suspense. Columbia presents these tales of mystery and intrigue and dangerous adventure for your relaxation and enjoyment. Next Tuesday, there'll be another in this series. Same hour, 9:30 Eastern Wartime. Mr. Lorre was starred as Professor Kraft. He was supported by Alice Frost as Cynthia, David Gothard as Dr. Craig, and Mercedes McCambridge as Lady Randolph. William Spear, the producer, John Dietz, the director, Bernard Herrmann, the composer-conductor, and John Dixon Carr, the author, are collaborators on Suspense.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Tonight, Columbia brings you as guest star Hollywood's genial character actor, Stuart Irwin. The story is by the author of The Thin Man and the Maltese Falcon, Dashiell Hammett, one of America's acknowledged masters of the art of suspense. Suspense is compounded of mystery and intrigue and dangerous adventure. In this series are stories calculated to intrigue you, to stir your nerves, to offer you a precarious situation, and then withhold the solution until the last possible moment. Tonight, for instance, Stuart Irwin plays for us a pleasant, easygoing assistant chief of police in a small town who, to everyone's surprise, was instrumental in solving a murder. We trust that with this tale we shall keep you in suspense.
For Suspense tonight, CBS presents Stuart Irwin in Two Sharp Knives by Dashiell Hammett.
Shortly after 2 a.m., a poker game had just broken up at Ben Camsley's, the doctor coroner of Deerwood City. Scott Anderson, Deerwood's chief of police, and Wally Shane, his assistant, were standing outside.
Where are we heading for, Scott? Let's walk across the street, Wally. Railroad station. Gee, aren't you afraid of the excitement, Chief? Don't you think that watching the 211 come in is apt to be too much for your blood pressure?
Well, if it is, Wally, you can always carry on. You've been a pretty good imitation of an assistant to me for some time now.
Yeah?
Yeah. If anything happens to me, you'd be the chief. Don't worry. Won't be any harder for you to fool the public as chief. Hi, Elmer.
Howdy, Scott. Hello, Wally. Kind of late for you boys to be around, ain't it?
No, I don't know. We sort of figured we'd put the town to bed tonight. How's the 211? On time?
Right on the nose. She ought to be blowing for the bend in just about 3 seconds now. Yep. What'd I tell you? It's her now. Expecting anyone on her, Scott?
No, Elmer, I'm not expecting anyone. Wally and I just thought we'd come over and watch you come in, that's all.
You know, Elmer, you never can tell who might get off, though. Dick Turpin, Henry Morgan, Jesse James, Jack the Ripper, or 6 officers of Murder Incorporated, or even your Aunt Gussie.
I guess you're right, Wally. Well, here she be. Pardon me, gents, but I gotta be rolling the wagon out to the baggage car.
How's it going?
Well, I can't complain, Cap.
Well, maybe you can't, Elmer, but I sure can if you hold us up with that freight there. You got much more?
Nope, this is the last piece now. There you are, Cap. All done.
Okay. See you tomorrow, Elmer.
Hey, Scott, do you see what I see?
I mean, do I see the man who just got off that train? The answer's yes.
Well, he's a ringer for the guy we got a picture of.
That is the guy.
Well, then, what do we do now?
We take him, Wally. My car's at the corner of the alley.
But, Scott...
We'll tail him up the street.
Okay, Scott. There he goes now, over toward the taxi stand.
Come on. Let's follow him. Hello, Furman.
Huh? Oh, I don't believe
You're Mr. Furman, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Philadelphia?
Yes.
I'm Scott Anderson, Chief of Police.
What? Chief of... What's happened to her?
Happened to who?
Oh, no, you don't.
No.
Let me go.
Hold
You
on.
think you can pull that sort of stuff with me? You're
Scott,
very
let me
much
get a
mistaken.
crack at that mug. Oh, no.
Wait a minute.
No.
Wait a minute.
Hold it,
gentlemen.
Wally. Well, Furman?
Well, I'm sorry. For a moment there, I thought you weren't really a policeman.
Thanks. It's nice to know I look almost human.
Yes, it was silly of me. I'm sorry.
Well, let's get going now before anything else happens. Okay, Furman, get in the car. I'll drive, Scott.
In you go.
Are you taking me to police headquarters?
That's right.
What for?
Philadelphia?
I don't think I understand.
You understand that you're wanted in Philadelphia for murder, don't you?
Murder? Why, that's ridiculous. Who told you that?
Well, it's a cinch he didn't make it up.
But wait, there must be...
Take it easy now. Just wait till we get down to headquarters. And I'll show you what I mean.
Now then, here's the circular on Lester Furman. It was sent out by the Trans-America Detective Agency in Philadelphia. Take a look at it.
Oh, $1,500 reward for the arrest and conviction of Lester Furman, alias Lloyd Fields, alias J.D. Carpenter, for the murder of Paul Frank Dunlap in Philadelphia on December 8th, 1942.
Well?
It's a lie.
You're Furman, aren't you?
Oh, yes, but...
That's your picture on the circular, isn't it?
Oh, yes, but I...
Scott, I see you and Wally got Furman, huh?
Oh, hello, George.
You lucky stiffs. Now you two split $1.50 reward. I never seen nothing like it. You know, if it ain't vacations in New York at the city's expense, it's reward dough.
Judge, someday, if you don't remember you're the jailer around here, not the D.A., you're going to be wearing your teeth on the outside of your lips, and I'll be the guys who arrange them that way. Savvy?
Just because you caught a guy who's hot in Philadelphia.
It's a lie. It's a frame-up. You can't prove anything. There's nothing to prove. I never killed anybody. I won't be framed.
Take it
I
easy,
won't be framed.
Furman. Take it easy. You're wasting your breath on us. Save it for the Philadelphia police. We're just holding you for them.
But it's not the police. It's the Trans-America
Please
Detective...
turn you over to the Philadelphia police.
Mr. Anderson, Well, then there's nothing I can do now.
There's nothing any of us can do till morning. You'll have to search you now, then we won't bother you any more till they come for you.
But
Wally, you look through his bag. I'll see what he's got in his pockets.
Okay, Scott.
Well, all he's got on him are some business cards, a few letters, $160, a book of checks in a Philadelphia bank, and a few odds and ends. What's with the bag, Wally?
Not much. A couple of changes of clothes, some toilet articles, and... Oh, here's a 38. Loaded. Pretty little thing, isn't it?
Okay, put those things in what I got in the vault. All right, George. You can take Furman now and lock him up.
This is the most ridiculous
Come
thing
along, darling, come on. We ain't had nobody in our little hooscow for 3 days running. There you are. Now you'll have it all to yourself. Just like a suite at the Ritz.
But
Go on, in you go.
I tell you, you're making a mistake. I demand to be allowed to get in touch with my lawyer.
Hey, how about you boys cutting me in on a little of that blood money, huh?
Oh, sure, George, sure. I'll forget all about that 2.5 you've been owing me for 3 months.
Make Furman as comfortable as you can, George. Take good care of him.
He's valuable, huh? Yeah, now, if it was some bum that didn't mean a nickel to you.
George, any day now I'm going to forget that your uncle is county chairman and throw you back in the gutter just to see how high you'll bounce. Remember that.
Oh, Scott, I didn't mean nothing.
That's all, George. Never mind the rest. I'm going home now. If anything's urgent, I can reach there. But get this. I don't want to be disturbed. Unless it is urgent.
Hello.
Scott, this is Wally.
Yeah, Wally, what time is it?
It's 5 after 6 in the morning, and you'd better come right down, Scott. That fella Furman's hung himself.
What? Furman hung himself?
Yep, by his belt, from a window bar. Deader than a mackerel.
I'll be right in, Wally. Phone Doc Camsley and tell him I'll pick him up on my way down.
No doctor's going to do Furman any good, Scott.
It won't hurt to have him looked at. You'd better phone the chronic court at Douglasville, too, and file a routine report.
Already did that. And what's more, hold on to your seat. The DA's on his way over, in person.
The DA?
Yeah.
I'll be there before you hang up, Wally.
Come on in, Chief. Ted Carroll, the DA's here, and he's plenty hot under the collar.
What's he burning about?
Oh, he's just mad. Running up quite a phone bill on us, too. Been calling Philadelphia every couple of minutes since he got here. What kept you so long?
I couldn't get my car started. Well, let's go in and see the old buzzard. No, Ted?
Listen, Scott, what is all this?
Oh, what?
There's some funny business going on here.
What's funny about it? Man hangs himself. Just another case of suicide.
Sure, it was suicide. But I just telephoned Transamerica. Dug a guy out of bed there. And he said they'd never sent out circulars on Furman. Didn't know about any murder he was wanted for. All they could tell me about him was he used to be a client of theirs.
I don't know what to say, Ted.
I don't either. Oh, a fine chief of police you are. What on earth kept you so long?
Car store. Came as quick as I could.
Makes you so crabby, Ted. Nothing. I guess it's just the district attorney and
Ah, now, come, gentlemen. Nobody'd know you two are staunch admirers of each other.
Okay, Wally. Tell me, what do you make of it?
Well, there's plenty wrong, Scott. First, that Transamerica thing. They never sent out circulars about Furman. And now, get this. I talked to the Philly police just before you came in. There wasn't even any Paul Frank Dunlap murdered.
There wasn't?
No. What did you get out of Furman before you let him hang himself?
That he was innocent.
Didn't you grill him? Didn't you find out what he was doing in town? Wally, didn't you?
What for? He admitted he was Furman. The description fitted him. The photograph was him. The Transamerica Detective Agency's supposed to be on the level, ain't it? Philadelphia wanted Furman. We didn't.
But
Why, sure, Ted. If I'd have known he was going to hang himself. Yeah, but then if your aunt wore pants, he'd be your uncle. You said Furman had been a client of Transamerica. They tell you what the job they did for him was?
His wife left him a couple of years ago, and he had them hunting for her for 5 or 6 months. But they never found her. They're sending a man up here tonight to look things over.
Yeah, huh?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going out and grab a quick bite. But I might as well tell you, Scott, there's going to be trouble over this.
I know that, Ted. There usually is when somebody dies in a jail cell.
Well, so what's become of that 1,500 fish now, huh, Scott?
What happened there last night, George?
Nothing. Furman hung himself.
Did you find him?
Uh-huh. Wally took a look in here to see how things was before he went off duty, and he found him.
You're asleep, I suppose.
Well, I was catching a nap, I guess, but everybody does that sometimes, Scott. Even Wally sometimes when he comes in off his beat between rounds. Yeah, but I always wake up when the phone rings or anything.
Oh, sure.
Well, suppose I had been awake. Can't hear a guy hanging himself, can you?
Did Doc Camsley say how long Furman had been dead?
He done it about 5 o'clock, he said he guessed. Oh, you want to look at the remains, Scott? They're over at Fritz's undertaking parlor.
Not now.
Hey, and speaking of firemen, what are you going to tell the guys from Transamerica when they show up here tonight?
Come in.
Oh, they told me I'd find you here. You're Chief Anderson, aren't you?
Yes, that's right.
I'm Carl Riesing, assistant manager of the Transamerica Detective Agency in Philadelphia. This is Mr. Wheelock, who was Lester Furman's personal attorney.
Glad to know you, Mr. Racing. How do you do, Mr. Wheelock?
How do you do?
I know you gentlemen are already in possession of most of the details concerning Mr. Furman from the time he arrived in Deerwood until the time of his death. But perhaps you don't know that the police of most towns in our corner of the state have also received copies of this same reward circular. Take a look at it.
I must say this circular is an excellent forgery.
You're sure it's a forgery, Mr. Racing?
Oh, yes, there's no doubt about it. But it's an excellent forgery.
Tell me, Mr. Wheelock, was Mr. Furman a native Philadelphian?
Oh, my, yes. He was a well-known, respectable, and prosperous citizen of Philadelphia.
Married, I believe?
In 1934, he married a 22-year-old girl named Ethel Bryan, daughter of a Philadelphia family.
And the Furmans had a child? Isn't that right, Mr. Wheelock?
Yes, born in 1936, but the child lived only a few months. Mr. Furman's wife disappeared after the child's death.
What year was it that she disappeared?
Mr. Riesing should remember that. His agency worked on the matter.
Oh, I remember it well. Mrs. Furman disappeared in 1937. We never heard anything of her again, although Furman spent a lot of money trying to locate her.
What did she look like, Mr. Racing?
In just a moment. I have a picture of her right here in my briefcase. Here it is. Quite pretty, isn't she?
If you care for that type.
I see what you mean, Mr. Wheelock. But she's attractive as that. Judging by this photo, I'd say that she was a small-featured, pretty blonde, with a weak mouth and large, somewhat staring eyes.
Oh, that's an accurate enough description, all right.
If you don't mind, I'd like to have a copy made of that photograph, Mr. Racing.
Oh, you can keep that one if you like. It's one that we had made up at Transamerica. Her description's on the back.
Thanks. Did Furman ever divorce her?
No, sir. He was a lot in love with her, and he seemed to think that the child's dying made her a little screwy so that she didn't know what she was doing. That's right, isn't it, Mr. Wheelock?
That is my belief, Mr. Riesing.
You said Furman had money, Mr. Wheelock. About how much did he have? And who gets it?
I should say his estate will amount to perhaps $500,000 left in its entirety to his wife.
Mm-hmm. It's quite a handy sum for anyone to have, I'd say. Mr. Wheelock, everything shows that somebody framed Furman into the Deerwood jail. And that frame-up drove him to suicide. But there has to be something else. A lot else.
Well, then, what are you going to do?
I'm going across the street to the undertaking parlor and have a look at Furman. I'll see you later.
Oh, Doc. Hi, Scott. I figured you'd come over here to the undertaker's pretty soon.
What's on your mind, Doc?
Let's get out of this crowd. I want to tell you something.
I just got rid of 2 guys in my office. Let's go back there.
Suits me. 2 of those bruises showed, Scott.
What bruises?
Furman. Well, up under the hair, there were 2 bruises.
Why didn't you tell me?
I'm telling you now, Scott. You weren't here when I made my examination. This is the first time I've seen you since then.
Why didn't you spill the stuff about Furman's bruises when you were testifying at the inquest, then?
I'm a friend of yours. Do I want to put you on a spot where people can say you drove this chap to suicide by third-degreeing him too rough?
You're nuts. How bad was Furman's head?
Well, Scott, that didn't kill him, if that's what you mean. There's nothing the matter with his skull. Just a couple of bruises nobody'd notice, and unless they parted the hair. Thought you ought to know, though.
Yeah. Thanks, Ben. Yes, who is it?
This is
Fritz, the undertaker. Listen, Scott, there's a couple of ladies over here that want to take a look at Furman. Is it all right?
Who are they?
I don't know them. Strangers.
What do they want to see him for?
I don't know. Wait a minute.
Can't I please see him?
Why do you want to see him?
Well, I'm his wife.
Furman's wife?
Yes.
Oh, certainly. I'll be right over. So long, Ben. I've got to go back to the undertaker's.
So long, Scott.
Hey, Scott.
What do you want, Wally?
I want to talk to you a minute. Over here where we won't be seen.
Okay, what is it?
A couple of dames came into Fritz's undertaking place just as I was leaving. One of them's Hotshaw Randall, a babe with a record as long as your arm. She's one of that mob you had me working on in New York last summer.
She know you?
Sure, but not by my right name. She thinks I'm a Detroit rum runner.
I mean, did she recognize you just now?
I don't think she saw me. Anyway, she didn't give me a tumble.
You don't know the other one?
No, she's a blonde, kind of pretty.
Okay, Wally. Stick around a while, but stay out of sight. Maybe I'll be bringing these dolls back with me.
Whatever you say, Chief.
Oh, there you are, Scott. I wondered when you were coming. This is Mrs. Furman, and this is Mrs. Crowder.
How do you do?
Hiya, Chief.
They just saw the body.
Mrs. Crowder, I thought your name was Randall.
What do you care, Chief? I'm not hurting your town any.
Don't call me Chief. You city slickers, I'm the town whittler.
Thank you for letting me see him.
It's all right, Mrs. Furman. But I'll have to ask you and your friend some questions. So if you'll just come across the street to headquarters, we'll get on with the routine. Before I ask any questions, I want to tell you something. Mrs. Furman, your husband didn't commit suicide. He was murdered.
Murdered? Ah, Chief, we got alibis. We were in New York, and we can prove it.
And you're likely to get a chance to. What brought you down here, anyway?
Murdered? Well, who's got a better right to come down here? She was still his wife, wasn't she? She's got a right to look out for her own interests, hasn't she?
Mm-hmm. It reminds me of something. Excuse me a second. I've got to make a phone call in the next room.
Officer Hamill speaking.
This is Scott.
Yes?
Is Wally around?
No, he's not here. He said you told him to keep out of sight. I'll find him for you, though.
Right. Tell Wally I want him to go to New York tonight. Send Mason home to get some sleep. He'll have to take over Wally's night trick.
Oh.
Mr. Anderson, do you think I had anything to do with with his death?
I don't know, Mrs. Furman. I know he was killed. I also know he left you something like $500,000.
Wow. Dollars?
Dollars.
All right, Chief. Let's stop clowning. The kid here didn't have a thing to do with whatever you think happened.
No?
No. We read about Lester Furman committing suicide in yesterday morning's paper, and about there being something funny about it. And I persuaded her she ought to come down to deal with
Anderson, I wouldn't have done anything to hurt Lester. I left him because I wanted to leave him. I wouldn't have done anything to hurt him for money or anything else. Had I wanted money from him, I would only have had to ask him for it.
That's the truth, Chief. For years I've been telling Ethel she was a chump not to tap him. But she never would.
I wouldn't have hurt him.
Why'd you leave him then?
Oh, I don't know how to say it. The way we lived wasn't the way I wanted to live. I wanted... Oh, I don't know what. Anyway, after the baby died, I couldn't stand it anymore.
Excuse me. Hello? Oh, yeah, Hammer? You gave Wally the message? Yes, I want him to go to New York tonight. Okay, where is he? Home? He is home, huh? Okay, thanks. Mrs. Furman, this circular, it's got your husband in the jail. Did you ever see that picture before?
No. Why, that can't be. It's a snapshot I have. It's an enlargement of it.
Who else has one?
Nobody that I know of. I don't think anyone else could have one.
You still got yours?
Yes. Don't remember whether I've seen it recently. It's with some old papers and things. But I must have it.
Well, Mrs. Furman, it's stuff like that's got to be checked up. Neither of us can dodge it. Now, there's two ways we can play it.
Yes?
Mrs. Furman, I can hold you here on suspicion until I've had time to investigate things. Or I can send one of our men with you to check up in New York.
Yes?
I'm willing to do that if you'll speed things up by helping him all you can. If you'll promise you won't try any tricks.
I promise. I'm as anxious as
All right. How'd you come down?
We drove down. We got a great big car. That's my car, see? That big green job across the street. Yeah.
And my man can ride back with you, but no funny business.
Oh, don't worry, Chief.
Come on. We're going to see Wally Shane, the man who's going to drive to New York with you. Wally?
Who is it?
Scott, Wally.
Come in.
Ladies first.
Harry.
Ethel.
No, you don't. No use reaching with that gun, Wally. Already got you covered.
I guess you win, Scott.
Yeah, I guess I do. Come along back to headquarters with me like a good little boy. Wally, you're under arrest for murder.
I knew it was all up, Scott, the minute I saw those two dames going into Fritz's. Then when I was ducking out of sight, I ran into you, and I was afraid you'd take me over there with you, so I had to tell you one of them knew me. Figuring you'd want to keep me under cover for a little while anyhow. Long enough for me to get out of town.
Why didn't you get out, Wally?
Well, I dropped in home to pick up a couple of things before I scram, and that phone call of Hamill's catches me, and I fall for it. You see, Scott, I figured you're not on to me yet and are going to send me back to New York to see what dope I can get out of the dames. Well, you fooled me, brother.
And I thought you'd fall for that.
Then you didn't just stumble into all this accidentally, did you?
No, I didn't, Wally. I figured Furman had to be murdered by a copper. To know reward circulars well enough to make a good job of forging one. Incidentally, who printed that Furman circular for you, Wally?
I'm not dragging anyone in with me. It was only a poor mug that needed dough.
Okay, Wally. You see, I knew only a copper would be sure enough of the routine to know how things would be handled. Only one of my coppers would be able to walk into Furman's cell, bang him across the head, and string him up on the... Those bruises showed, you know, Wally.
They did? I guess I should have wrapped 2 towels around that blackjack. Oh, gee, Scott. I seem to have slipped up on a lot of things.
So that narrows it down to my coppers and... Well, you told me you knew the Randall woman. There it was. Only I figured you were working with him. What got you like this, Wally?
Same thing that gets most saps into jams, a yen for easy dough. I was in New York, see, Scott, working that Dutton job for you, palling around with big-shot racketeers, passing for one of them, and...
Yes?
Well, I got to figuring that my work takes more brains than theirs, and they're taking in big money, and I'm working for coffee and cakes. That kind of stuff gets you, Scott. Anyway, it got me.
Mm-hmm.
Then I ran into this Ethel Furman, and she goes for me like a house afire. I liked her, too, see, so that's dandy. But one night she tells me about how much dough her husband's got and how he feels about her, and I get to thinking...
Thinking what?
I think she's nuts enough about me to marry me. So I got to thinking, suppose he died and left her his role.
Mm-hmm. I see.
So I run down to Philly a couple of afternoons and look Furman up, and everything looks fine. I took my time working out the details, meanwhile writing to her through a fellow in Detroit.
Go on. Finish one.
Well, I decided to do it. I sent those circulars out to a lot of places, not wanting to point too much to this one. And then when I was ready, I phoned Furman, telling him to come to Deerwood Hotel that night. And sometime before the next night, he'd hear from his wife, Ethel. I knew he'd fall for any trap that was baited with her. Only I guess I'm not as sharp as I thought I was, Scott.
Maybe you are, Wally. Maybe you are. That doesn't always help. Old man Camsley, Ben's father, used to have a saying, to a sharp knife comes a tough steak.
Well, sorry you did it, Wally. I always liked you.
I know you did, Scott. I was counting on that.
So ends Dashiell Hammett's Two Sharp Knives, starring Stuart Irwin. Tonight's story of Suspense. Columbia presents these tales of mystery and intrigue and dangerous adventure for your relaxation and enjoyment. Next week, Suspense will not be heard because of a special holiday broadcast. Columbia's review of the events of the year, 12 crowded months, which has been scheduled. On the following Tuesday, January 5th, there'll be another in this series. Same hour, 9:30 Eastern Wartime. William Spear, the producer, John Dietz, the director, and Bernard Herrmann, the composer-conductor, are collaborators on Suspense.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
I think I like it much, Tom.
Neither do I.
Dark. Except for that blue light under the water. It's transparent. You can see the fishes swimming.
Just a minute, boatman. This lady who disappeared from the Villa Borghese.
3 years ago, she disappeared.
You say she looked exactly like my wife?
Si, signore. She was going to be married. She was trying on her wedding dress. Her mother and sisters, they were in the room with her. She walked out on a balcony over the sea. You know what I mean, on a balcony over the sea? And nobody ever heard of her again.
You mean she jumped over into the sea?
A young girl going to be married. Kill herself? No.
And what did happen?
Oh, the beggar, I do not know. But sometimes they say you can meet her ghost in the air. She floats just under the water where you can see her and turn over and over. And the wedding veil is still round her face.
Tom, let's get out of here.
You want to go, yes?
Lucy, if this fellow's stringing us along...
He's not stringing us along.
Then somebody ought to know what this means. If we've inherited a haunted balcony where people disappear like soap bubbles, I say it's too much. Let's get back to our ship and talk to Granger. Yes, boatman, take us back.
Mr. Granger! Mr. Granger!
Come on, man. Oh. You too, young fellow. Let's see if we start to have a second. Yeah, give me a hand, Lucy.
Thanks, dear. Oh, didn't anybody else go to the Blue Grotto?
Well, ma'am, no. Not after they saw you go.
It's all right. We've just heard the story, Mr. Granger.
Oh, I ought to have told you about it myself. All the way out here, I've been cussing myself and thinking what an ornery old badger I am for not telling you when I first met you in Naples.
The girl did vanish then.
By a first-rate miracle, yes. In broad daylight and within 20 feet of her mother and sisters.
You don't look like a man who'd believe in miracles, Mr. Granger.
Oh, I'm not, son. I'm just telling you what happened.
But why is everybody so excited? Somebody must have thrown her off the balcony.
Josephine Adams was all alone on a balcony 40 feet up a cliff, smooth as glass. She didn't fall. She wasn't thrown because there was no sound of a splash. And she didn't come back from the balcony because her mother and sisters were in front of the only door. Yet, within 15 seconds, 15 seconds, mind you, she just vanished.
You believe that?
Sure, I believe it, son. Why, it's a fact.
Did you know the girl's family?
Oh, very well. We've got a real English-speaking colony here. Oh, by the way, in about half a minute now, I'm going to show you your new home.
Oh, can we see it here on the ship?
Oh, sure you can, ma'am. It's on the edge of the cliff. Dr. Davis's house is on one side of it, and my shack's on the other. That's why I want to ask you a question.
Of course. Ask anything you like.
Well, I'm an old stager, ma'am, but not exactly up to the high-toned society around here, but do you trust me?
Yes, I think so.
Well, then, promise me something. Unless you're with somebody you do trust.
Suspense. Suspense is compounded of mystery and intrigue and dangerous adventure. Stories calculated to intrigue you, to stir your nerves. Tonight, for instance, as we begin, you may want to ask yourself, how could a young lady, a bride, walk out on a balcony alone and vanish? Completely vanish. We trust that while you are wondering how and why it was done, we shall keep you in suspense. Italy in springtime. Italy as we used to know it before the jackal struck. And the island of Capri, 20 miles out across the Bay of Naples. Blue water a-dazzle under the sun. Behind you the bone-white beaches, and Vesuvius dull purple in a heat haze. Ahead, as the little steamer from Naples chugs out across the bay, rises Capri. Olive trees and white roads, and vineyards above the cliffs. Could young Americans find a better place to spend their honeymoon? While the guitars sing, and the warm winds blow, and the little steamer carries them.
Well, Mrs. Courtney?
Well, Mr. Courtney.
I can't keep it up, Lucy. I'm going to break down and ask if you're happy.
Oh, I'll break down, too. I want to walk up to everybody I meet and say, "Oui," just like that.
What I want to do is turn somersaults myself, all along this deck here.
I want to say, I've been married to Tom Courtney for practically 2 weeks. And now we're going to have a villa at Capri for a month. Oh, Tom, I ought to be the happiest woman in the world. Only...
What? You shivered. What's wrong?
Well, ever since we got aboard this ship, people have been staring at me.
I can't blame them for that, dear.
No, I mean in a funny way, and muttering. Even your American friend, what's his name?
Granger?
Mr. Granger. When you introduced him to me at Naples, I thought his eyes were going to pop out.
Be careful. He's standing over by the rail now.
Oh.
He lives at Capri.
I like to see him wearing that white 10-gallon hat in Italy.
Before Granger made money in oil wells, he was a real old-fashioned cowpuncher. And he's proud of it. Good fellow, too.
He's too polite to say anything, but he keeps looking around at me, just the same as the rest of them do.
Well?
Well, Tom, they look scared.
You know, Lucy, this isn't the time to start imagining things.
I know. Well, maybe I'm just so happy I'm afraid it can't last.
Oh, don't.
Just keep away from that balcony.
Do you honestly think there's danger? Or...
I don't know, son. If I did, I wouldn't have to talk this way.
Sounds like a dog barking. I thought I heard it before.
What is? A big police dog. And led by a very handsome woman, if you ask me.
Oh, Lord, here she is again. Who? The Countess. She lives in our colony.
She looks like an American. You take your eyes off her, Tom Courtney.
She is an American. Married a Count Parcheesi or something like that. Just call her Nellie.
My dear Mr. Granger.
Hello, Nellie.
It's true. Everybody told me so, but I couldn't believe it until I saw her. She does look exactly like poor Josephine Adams. Just as small, just as dainty. Please, is everybody trying to give me the jitters?
Nellie, I want you to meet some friends of mine.
Oh, you don't need to introduce me. I know who they are. You're the nice young couple who've taken that villa. I'm Nellie Lucchese. Oh, yes. This is my dog, Tiberius, named after the wicked Roman emperor. You know who used to live at Capri? I must confess I'm terribly fascinated by wicked things. Aren't you, Mr. Courtney?
Lucy, stop digging me in the ribs. I haven't done anything.
No, and you're not going to. Tiberius seems to have taken quite a fancy to you, Mrs. Courtney. Oh. I've never known him to go to a stranger before. Well, I only wish I could borrow him. He might be a charm against... Oh, no, I don't know. We'll be at the harbor in a few minutes. Then you must let me drive you up to the villa. You won't be able to get any servants, I'm afraid, because they won't stay there. But you can camp out. Look, there's the villa. We're passing it now. Where? On the cliff, where I'm pointing.
Wait a minute. Well, there must be some mistake. That's not the Villa Borghese.
It sure is, son.
That's a palace like all the other houses there. And I rented it furnished for about $25 a month.
Can't you guess why you got it so cheap, son? If you take my advice, you'll turn around and go back to Naples by the next steamer.
Harry Granger, don't be an idiot. Let's have some excitement. Tom is beautiful.
Too infernally beautiful, if you ask me.
There's the balcony.
It's all right by daylight, son. Marble and tapestries and whatnot. But at night, when you gotta put out the lights, you start thinking what happened there.
The moon over Capri makes a deathly daylight. You could see to read on that balcony if anyone went out there. Frosted glass doors open out on it from a big room on the ground floor. Two determinedly calm persons and a dog sit looking at each other.
Lucy, stop it.
Stop what?
Stop looking over at that balcony.
I'm sorry, darling.
Why are we sitting here anyway? There's an outer room that's much more comfortable.
It's like having a toothache. A very little toothache.
I may be dense, Angel, but I don't follow you.
You put your tongue against the tooth to see if it'll hurt. You know it will hurt, but you go on doing it just the same.
Don't say that.
But wouldn't it be pretty awful if something did happen and we weren't together any longer?
Wait a minute. Hasn't this ship stopped?
Yes. Well, it is Capri ahead of us, isn't it?
It can't be anything else. But it seems a funny place to stop. No sign of a harbor. Only rocks and little gray cliffs. Oh, Mr. Granger. Mr. Granger.
Yes, young fella.
Do you happen to know why we're stopping here?
Well, yes, that's an amazing one, son. We're stopping so that you and your good lady and anybody else who's curious can get a look at the Blue Grotto.
The Blue Grotto, of course.
Now, just shade your eyes with your hand, ma'am. You see that tiny little arch under the cliff?
Yes.
And all the little white rowboats are coming out towards us?
Yes.
Now, when the first boat comes alongside, you climb down that iron ladder and get in. The boatman will row you out and through the arch into the grotto. It's a great, big, dark cavern. The water in there looks as though it's lit up underneath with blue fire.
Like to go out and see it, Lucy?
Oh, I'd love to.
Let me give you a little tip, though. The current's pretty fast out there. You'll go shooting under that arch like 60.
Are we likely to upset?
Oh, no, but the arch isn't as high as your head. When you see it coming, lie back flat in the boat. That is, unless you want your block knocked off.
Well, thanks, Mr. Granger. We'll remember. Come along, Lucy. Easy on the ladder, Lucy. Don't look round yet.
Oh, I'm all right, darling. And just as good a swimmer as you are.
I'm in the boat now. Take one more step. Steady. Yeah. There you are. Now turn around facing the boatman and sit down here beside me.
What's the matter with the boatman?
Easy, man. Do you want to upset us? Sit down.
You come back, yes?
Come back? Well, I've never been here before in my life.
Push off, man. Start rowing. The other boats are piling up behind you.
You come back.
Start rowing, can't you? Andare subito. Basta.
Can't take his eyes off us.
I wish he'd watch out where he's rowing.
You come to live at the Villa Borghese, yes?
Tom, how does he know that?
He's the lady. She is not dead.
Dead? Of course she's not dead. What are you talking about?
She never come to Capri before?
Never.
Then I tell you, she will disappear, just like the other one.
Disappear?
I'll rest my oars, and I tell you.
Tom, aren't we moving rather fast?
Yes, that's the entrance to the grotto ahead.
I tell you, there was a lady so much like your own, carpeting back. Oh, it scared me.
Now, look, old man, I don't want to teach you your business, but you've got your back to that grotto.
Take a decent lady back where she come from. Do not take her to the Villa Borghese.
Down, Lucy. Flat on your back. Down!
Signore, I am sorry. I almost make you get hurt.
You know you nearly got your own head knocked off.
Excuse me, no. I am used to it. Now, I will roll you round the blue grotto.
That's us.
Maybe you're right.
Oh, Tom, did you ever think we'd have a lovely house like this?
Yeah, the house is all right, yes. Then they have to go and spoil everything. Our honeymoon. With this blasted Tommy rod about...
Tom, you're as jittery now as I was this afternoon. Oh, even Tiberius is jittery.
Yes, I guess I am. Easy, boy. Easy.
Well, there's whiskey on the table.
In a minute. Not just now. There's nothing wrong with that balcony. Suppose you walked out there this minute.
I've had a horrible longing to try it. Just because I know I shouldn't.
Well, nothing could attack you. All you'd have to do would be to yell. That'd bring Mr. Granger out on his balcony like a shot. And the neighbor on the other side of us... Who is on the other side, by the way?
A specialist in brain diseases. Dr. Davis. He's English.
Easy, Tiberius. Easy.
Tom, I'm afraid.
It's all right, darling. You hold Tiberius's collar while I open the door.
Evening, Mr. Courtney. Good evening, Mrs. Courtney. I'm no ghost. I'm merely your neighbor, Dr. Rutherford Davis.
Yes, of course.
I trust you will pardon this intrusion. No one answered my knock, so I ventured to come in.
It's no intrusion, Dr. Davis.
Mr. Courtney, I wish I could say welcome to Capri, but I have a very different message.
Well?
If you value Mrs. Courtney's life, you'll go back to Naples immediately, sir.
Not you, too.
I do not say that as a ghost hunter, sir. I say it as a medical man. May I sit down?
Oh, of course. Please do.
Oh, thank you.
We seem to be forgetting our manners. Dr. Davis, will you have a drink?
Oh, thank you. Perhaps a small whiskey?
I'll get it, darling. You sit down and talk to Dr. Davis.
You're not going back into that room alone.
I'm only going to get the drinks, Tom. I promise to be good. And Tiberius can come with me. Can't you, Tiberius?
Oh, I see you've borrowed Tiberius from the Countess Duquesne.
Yes, she was kind enough to offer him. Excuse me, I'll be back in a minute. Come on, Tiberius.
I hope this is all right, Doctor.
No, sir. It is not all right. Your wife is in very great danger.
But why? Because of that balcony?
No. Because she looks exactly like the late Josephine Adams.
I don't get it.
Mr. Courtney, did you ever hear of paranoia?
It's some kind of mental disease, isn't it?
The paranoic begins by imagining that he or she is being persecuted by someone. First, he hears things. A voice in his brain whispers, "You'll be killed. You'll be killed. You'll be killed." He hears it in the tick of a clock, in the rattle of a train, in the footsteps on the street. There are holes in the walls through which his enemy is always watching. Invisible speaking tubes bring him messages. There are pains in his joints and nightmares of attempts to poison him. His brain bursts and he kills.